great question because I think we're all talking about employee first, member first experience. Uh, in my opinion, I think the fundamental thing is you need to value members. I mean, we call members, so I'm using that word here. And value is not just a word as a value, but it's like an acronym over here. So V stands for here, you need to really give them voice. So voice is like psychological safety, the fundamental thing. You can speak your mind, you can ask questions without fear of repercussions. Give them voice. Then I would say A is autonomy. Autonomy doesn't mean my way or highway and you're allowed to do anything and everything. Autonomy here means giving very clear boundaries and letting them play in that. That's a major difference because micromanagement really comes when we have very blurred boundaries and people don't know what's my field. So I think that's where you allow for them to grow and feel that you are important. I would say third is when we say L, VAL, L would be learning culture. Learning culture here is not just the trainings. I really find it funny that, whenever we are talking about learning, we are talking about the training part of it, the formal trainings. Whereas in our world, we talk about 70-20-10 principle. 70% is on the job, 20% is pure learning or social learning, 10% is the real training or structured learning we're talking about. So learning culture would mean creating a structured environment or a place where we create opportunities for members to have stretch assignments, where we create opportunities for members to have peer learning, mentoring. And it need not be only as an investment of external coming in and giving a training, but it's about the environment that we are able to create. I think that really makes a lot of difference. Many of us do that, but we don't give a structure to it, so people don't even know, members don't even know what's really coming in. What can I do if I want to raise my hand and have a stretch environment and learn more? Fourth would be you, and I'm using a very heavy word here, ubiquitous uh, well-being. Why I'm saying more on the well-being side is well-being is it's non-negotiable these days. We all are pretty much aware of whether it's mental health, physical health, environment. But we're also doing a research at Hayward. We have recently done a research on neurodivergent members and how do we create an environment for their well-being as well. I think that's the place organizations probably need to go to ensure that an individual feels I am allowed to be who I am and welcomed. And then I contribute to the best of my capabilities. And then E would stand for, as we would assume, is equity and inclusion. It's not equality, it's equity, and we ensure that there are fair resources and opportunities for members, plus inclusion, because at the end of the day, all of this creates an environment of belonging for us. So, yes, in short words, it is ensure that people are valued, and then there is each one has a significant contribution to ensure that we have an employee first environment. I would rather say not even one line, one word, be curious. And I think that's not just for HR, it's for anyone who is joining the organization. Please be curious. And if I were to say specifically for HR, I would say be curious in two main things. One is business, and the other is people. So be curious about business. Ask questions. How do you make money? How, or rather, we make money. Or in fact, whoever you meet, whatever role they are in, understand how companies make money. What is the sales process? What is the channel? What is the logistics? What is the operation? Understand business because business acumen is going to be the most critical factor for your growth in future. And second is people. So we are in HR role. Definitely, this is one area where you need to have an expertise in. Business can survive without having a lot of strength in people's side, but HR cannot. We need to have a good balance of both. So start developing that skill of being curious about people, understanding from where they are coming, the needs, the biases probably which are influencing. Why? What are the values? What are the motivators? Try observing and be curious. And I would say, with a little bit of compassion, without judgment, to understand how different people bring different perspectives on the table. And that's the thing I would rather, say, to keep it short, for all the new people coming on board in the HR world. And I really like this question because you're not saying how to manage teams. We're talking about leading teams. And I look at these two as very different skill sets, because management is more about, it really brings a lot of tasks and systems into perspective, which is important, absolutely non-negotiable. And that's how, we get things done. However, leading is definitely a step further. And for that, while there are many, I would say, we talk about in terms of leadership skills. For me personally, I would say the top three would be, to start with, one is emotional intelligence. It's non-negotiable, absolutely non-negotiable, because we are talking about leading people. And without having your own EQ at a level where you are able to understand the emotions of yourself and others, you really cannot manage, or you really cannot lead people. So EQ definitely is a skill our leaders must develop. And it is possible to develop. It is not like IQ, it is set in stone. It is more like you can develop. There are techniques for it. Awareness and management are the two pieces of EQ, whether it is for self or for others. Just start developing one set at a time. And definitely, this is something which we can see as a great skill set in leaders. Second, I would say inspire. You are a leader. You're not just managing here. Go beyond the now for the business part of it. Having a visionary leadership is something which really distinguishes leaders in terms of what they bring on the table, because most of us would be busy in getting into the now of getting things done, the whirlwind, as we say, of today. But as a leader, it's your job to give them a inspired vision. What next? Where do you go next from here? I was just reading an article by Hiltis. I am just taking the liberty of using her name because it was on LinkedIn, where she mentioned about meeting one of the leader. It's just today, so it's fresh in my mind. And the person, the owner, said, "What next?" So he wasn't talking about now when she said that, okay, India is the future, but his question was, what next? So I think that's where all leaders probably need to bring in visionary leadership. What is next? Give people a reason to know how to move forward, where to move forward, looking forward beyond the current. So your ability to connect the dots and see the future is where people would look up to you as a leader who is inspiring a vision. And third, I would say, is ability, as a skill set, as we are talking about, your ability to build trust. That's something which is critical, because once you reach a certain stage and age of your career where you are responsible for leading people, your ability to build trust is critical. You might teach there because of your phenomenal capacity or performance. Many a times we have seen that happening, but beyond a point that would not serve the purpose. So your ability to trust people is critical, and it's not just like, okay, fantastic, trust me. We all know trust doesn't happen just like that. So there is credibility involved. There is reliability involved. There is, intimacy involved, wherein you can be yourself with your manager. You can express yourself. And then all of that, this is the framework we talk about when we are saying how to build trust. This all is, the denominator for all of this is, what's your intention? At the end of the day, people read, it's like it's your energetic presence that you bring on the table. People read your intentions, even if you think that you're not being read. So if you genuinely bring an intention of supporting your team, that builds trust in a very different way. And I'm not saying that leaders should not think about themselves at all. It is not an altruistic world. We are not even saying that, you don't You don't need to think about your own future. That's not the idea. The idea is, but when you are intentional about your team, be intentional about them. At that moment, just don't think about yourself. So there has to be a time when you are looking at your own growth, but there has to be a time when you're looking at your team's growth. That's where they would trust, when you even tell them to give up an account, and they know that you are in, I'm talking more from the sales context, and then they know that this person is someone who is on my side. I trust this person. It is not for a personal interest. And I think this thin line, a lot of leaders don't understand. And we so many times we get the questions that there is a gap in trust, there is an issue in building that kind of credibility. So the sooner we start building those pieces in our skill set, the faster we would reach a place where we are able to lead the team with true authenticity and in a way which is differentiated. It's an AI world, it's a bunny world, in fact. And we're all anxious already. A lot of anxiousness, a lot of incomprehensibility in the market, in the world. And your leadership does make a difference to your people. People really, at the end of the day, would look up to somebody, whether as a mentor, as a guide, as a leader. So be there with all the arsenal that you have in your kitty to lead your team. So that's how I would put it in terms of what top three skill set I would say are a must in a leader. I have always thought about this, that if there is a book written on me, what would be the title? And I had this thought long back, and I would continue, let's say, make a movie also on it, A Force to be Reckoned with. And why I say so is not, it's not coming from, a place of, I would say, pride in general, but it's coming from a place of humility. But at the same time, there is a line in a girl the girl in the train. There's a book, and I read that quote somewhere. While I not relate to the character Rachel out there, but there's a line where she says, "Once I set my mind on something, I am a force to be reckoned with," and I do relate to that. So I think yes, in one line, if at all, there is a movie to be written. That would be the title. I think we do belong. The table belongs to us because HR is at the helm of understanding people, understanding business, every function, all all functions, what's happening, where it's happening, the grays, the black and white, everything. We get that perspective. Who is better at leading the organization than a CHRO? Yet there are only 2 to 3% of movement we see from CHROs to CEOs, and that's a sad number for me. So my aspiration, or rather, I would say, a call to all the HR folks is, I think the time has come that we start building those skill set, which really brings us closer to the CXO level in the sense of leading the organization. Like Lean and I mean, handful of names we have, but yes, they have started coming up. And I think that's where, as HR fraternity, we need to look at what's the missing piece. When we have so many things, where is the missing piece? Yes, probably managing P&L, because we've never been given an ownership of P&L. That's not the way we have functioned. That's not the way our roles are designed. But how do we bring that in our kitty as an experience? What can be done to ensure that a future HR leaders are given an exposure so that they come with a full-fledged skill set and are ready? And when we are looking at executive pipeline, or we are looking at succession pipeline, we are considering CHROs also in that CEO level. That's something which is aspirational, and I think we all need to relook at how do we create those opportunities, what are the missing pieces, because we've got the seat at the table for sure. The world definitely, acknowledges and recognizes that, but we are still not there. We need to now look beyond and look at how do we lead the conversations out there. That's my message to the HR folks out there.